What to do if you're 30% body fat. Now, this video, I'm going to speak about specifics. I'm going to speak about numbers. I'm going to speak about timelines, timeframes, data, as opposed to in a lot of the videos. And most importantly, I give you the principles, how you got to 30% in the first place and why, and what you need to do the internal work inside in order to change over the long term. I will not go into that in this video because I've spoke about it at length a lot over the past week. Go and check out quite a few of the other videos and they will give you that underpinning knowledge. This video I'm going to give you specifics so you can take the model, the roadmap, and use it in your own life in order to go from 30% down to probably where you want to be around like 8 to 10. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Tom Sergey. I run the Gorilla Platoon. It's an online physique transformation program where we get results like this. So my promise to you, by the end of this video, you'll know what to do if you're 30% body fat. Specifically, we're going to cover how long will it take to get from 30% to 10% where you want to be? How do you actually set up the plan itself? How do you know if you're making progress? And then what to do if you stop making progress? Let's roll. First, and the main question that you want to know, how fucking long? How much suffering am I going to have to do to get from where I am with a 30% body fat and a nice juicy gut down to 10% body fat, visible, clean-cut abs? So, honestly, the short answer is probably about 20 weeks. 20 to 23 weeks. And I'll tell you how we'll work that number out right now. So, when we set you up, and this will tie into also the setup, we've got your scale weight. Let's say you watching this, you're 100 kilos and you're 30% body fat. Okay, perfect. How did we work that out? Well, I work it out off this graph here. You look somewhere in and around this. You might be 27, you might be 32. You're in and around this region of 30% body fat. I can't send you this calorie calculator. I get a few people messaging me on Instagram. I would love to, but it's where it's on a Mac and it's saved in numbers. It's a bit iffy and it's hard for me to like email it to you. So I'd love to send it to you. If any of you are tech savvy, message me on Instagram if you want it. I'll find a way to get it to you if you're tech savvy and we can like figure it out. And that'd be good for everyone else. But anyway, back to it. You are 70 kg of lean mass. You want to get to 10%. So you need to get down to 77 kilos from 100 kilos. You can lose a kilo a week, no problem. And that's a healthy range. You want to lose roughly around 1% of the scale weight per week, which conveniently, if you're anywhere within 90, so around 110, it's going to be in and around a kilogram per week. So straight away, that's 23 weeks. But that's 23 weeks of good adherence. That's a long time, really, to just stick to a plan. If you're a person that's 30% body fat, you didn't fucking wake up there one day by accident, did you? Let's be honest. Like you're 30% body fat because of your habits that you've done over the longest of time. Let's be honest. Like you're 30% body fat because you just eat more than you move, and over time it's accrued. It might not be your fault. I mean, everything is our fault, so it kind of is your fault. But like, work may have got in the way, family may have got in the way. Whatever the fucking reason, you have just accumulated more body fat than you have wanted to, and then you've been able to move off. Now, in order to drop it, we really need to change that. So we actually need to change the way you move on a day-to-day. And honestly, I wasn't going to go into like this deep psychological stuff, but I can't give you this information without the underpinning principles, or it will just fall on deaf ears. We need to change how you view yourself and how you act in the world, because you look and your body is a representation of your habits that you do on a daily basis. So because of the habits you do, they got you to where you are today at 30% or in around 30% body fat. So for me to just say it will take you 20 weeks, it will if you follow it straight for 20 weeks. But I know that after 2 weeks, motivation will fall and your habits will just not be something that you've, stacked for the longest of time. And let me give you the analogy with this pen. So if we were to say we've got 10% body fat, this basket, you here at 30%, we need to go from here to here. Let's call this like a seesaw analogy. For the longest of time, you have stacked rocks, and these rocks denote habits in this basket. And these denote obviously bad habits that got you to 30% body fat. So in order for you to actually get to 10% body fat, yeah, cool, you need to start doing the things of 10% body fat. Go to bed early, wake up at the same time, do your steps, do your cardio, eat the same meal plan, prep the meal plan, eat whole foods, make changes to the diet where needed. if that's a shit ton of rocks inside a lot of baskets, and you won't be able to manage the whole bandwidth that is in this analogy here. So you need to start taking rocks out of the old habits. You need to stop having junk food. You need to stop going to bed late. You need to stop hanging around with people that make you do bad things. You need to remove the habits that you were doing. So honestly, like step one to how long will it take to get in shape? How quick can you sit down, audit your life, work out what you're doing from a bad habit perspective? And the way I want you to do this is view yourself in third person. View yourself as a character in a video game and be like, this is what he does day to day. Imagine your life was a movie and you got to sit down and watch it. I mean, how fucking boring it may be, I'm joking. But like, you probably wouldn't want to air on TV a lot of the stuff you do. Really. I mean, it'd be good content for like, this is where I was before and then this is where you're going to be, which hopefully after you watch this video, you will. But like, you would look at yourself and be like, fucking stop doing that. Don't drink that bottle of Mountain Dew. Those Cheetos aren't going to do you any favors. It's been 3 hours since you've done, since you've like been out for a walk. You've not had any water all day. You've been to the gym once this week. Like, you would just audit it and be like, stop doing that. Take that out. That's fucking cat shit. I'm embarrassed about that. Do that. Honestly, do that for your own life. Just sit down and audit and be like, where the fuck's my time going? What are the bad habits I'm doing? And then from there, you can start to then allocate it towards the new habits. Because you can drop a kilogram per week and you can get to the goal in 20 weeks, really. I'll say 23 to be conservative in this analogy of 100 kilo that needs to go to 77. But in the beginning, where you're 30% body fat, you can lose 2 kilo a week. Like, you actually can and it's healthy. But as you get like deeper into the diet phase, it obviously slows right down. So just know that the fatter you are, the quicker it will come off. But if you don't like actively change your habits and the way you live on day to day, you won't drop the weight at all and you'll stay 30% body fat. So like, you have to do this work first before I even like, I just wanted to give you the fucking facts and the data, but I just can't do so because I know, like, I'll just give you the model, you try it for a week and then you'll just not fucking do it. And it was a waste of time you watching the video and me making it. So that I need to give you that. Take the habits out. Audit your life. Stop doing the bad stuff. Make room for the good stuff. Progressively overload day after day after day. Have in your iPhone notes page, this is the stuff you need to do. This is what time I'm going to wake up. This is what time I'm going to do cardio. This is what time I'm going to do steps. My meals are prepped at this time. Gym's at this time. Tick, 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 tick. Finish the end of the day. You got a full list of ticks. Brilliant. The next day, do the same. And you've got actual data to look at and put your hands on to be like, I'm less of a piece of shit. No, I'm only joking. I have improved my habits by this much. And you can put your hands on the data to show that you've ticked off the stuff. And then as a result, the scale will start to come down. And that's more confirmation that you are becoming the person you need to actually go from 30% to 10%. So how long will it take to get in shape? Honestly, if you can follow the diet with no hiccups, it will take you 20 weeks. Like, you can get in good shape in 20 weeks from 30% body fat. But your art is, or your homework to do actually, is this. The next question we need to ask is, well, how do we set up the plan itself? Because, okay, cool, we've done the work, we've audited our day, we know what we're going to cut out, we know what we're going to put in, so now what? So the way you're going to set the plan up is you're going to establish, and you can use, like, there's loads of calorie calculators online. This is just one I created off the formulas I like to use, but there's loads online. So you know the goal you need to get to, 77, you know your starting point, 100. From there, you know now our RMR is sat at 1882. Don't take calories below this, ever. Like, unless it's right at the end of the diet, but even still, just try not to take it below this. And then you need to understand your activity. On average, most people's activity is a 155. This is what the average person moves at. If you're in construction, if you're doing something that's like, you move around a lot, where your what's known as NEAT, non-activity exercise thermogenesis, is higher, then you'll need to times it by 175. If you're in the military, you'll times it by 175. If you're desk bound, you're sat down all day, then honestly you could times it by 135 because you just don't need as much food. That will give you a maintenance target. So in this example of the average guy, this guy's maintenance is set at 2,900 calories. Now, because you are 30% body fat, you can go pretty aggressive when you first start. And you can, honestly, you can go, when you're 30%, you can go pretty darn close to RMR. This is within 50 calories. I'd take that all day. So you can go as close to RMR as humanly possible. If you wanted to be like conservative, I'd just put your starting point actually to 1900 in this example. Don't go below it because you don't need to. So, but it's going to look like about 1,000 calorie drop from your maintenance. And it may seem a lot, but honestly, when you're 30% body fat, you've got a lot of fucking body fat to be eating into. So don't be concerned that like it's low. It can be. And I'll make future videos on what to do if you're 20%, because they don't fucking take it this low. And if you're 17, 15%, and you want to get to 10, also don't take it this fucking low. This is not a one size fits all. This is if you're sat within 27 to 32% body fat, this video is for you. And then this is the direct example I will give you. So you know your calories, and that's what you're going to be eating. Let's call it 1900 for round numbers. Your protein is 168 grams. This is set to your lean mass times 2.4. Now, because you're 30% body fat, I would not go off the metric of 1 gram per pound of body weight. If anything, I'd take your height in centimeters and I'd use that as my metric to convert into grams. So if you're 173 like me, then you're going to convert it into 173 grams of protein. So from there, fats is going to be at 20% of the total target, so 40 grams, and you're going to fill the rest with carbohydrates. So at this point, you've got your starting calories. Perfect. From there, we need to think, well, what are you going to do for a training session? And the question I'll throw back at you is, how many days per week can you train? And it's going to be one of three answers. It's either going to be 3 days per week, in which you're going to follow a full body training split where you do workout A and workout B. And within those workouts, it's got upper push, upper pull, like times 2. So you'd have like incline chest press, lat pull down, flat chest press, row, lateral raises. You would also have in there leg press, hamstring curl, bicep and tricep. Done. And then on the sister session, you just pair the opposite. So if you did an incline press, you do a flat press on this one, or you put a shoulder press in instead of a lateral raise. And you're just going to alternate the sessions each time you step on the gym floor and progress the numbers week on week. And if you've not been in the gym as well, let's say you wanted to train 5, but you've not been in the gym for 6 months, just start with a 3-day split. The dosage and stimulus that you're going to put on the muscle will be adequate from a 3-day. When you start to run that out and you don't see as much gains, go to a 4. Likewise, if you started on a 4, go to a 5 if you can. Look to progress that way. Don't play all your cards at once. When you're 30% body fat, no offense, but you're pretty out of shape. So like you can start with the lower amounts of things and actually get a good response, and you should milk and rinse that out rather than just trying to go hell for leather to begin with. Because yeah, cool, you'll see gains and stuff, but it'll be a lot harder work anyway, and then your room for progression is not as great. So I'd be doing that split. If you can do 4 days, then I'd be doing full body push and full body pull, and I'd repeat that times 2. For simple like analogy, it's just everything on the front of your body and everything on the back of your body, and you just repeat that nice and easy times 2 days. If you can do a 5-day split and you've been training for a little bit and you've got a good bit, like a couple of years under your belt, go for a 5-day push-pull legs, rest day, chest and back, arms and delts. I've spoke at length about all these different programs and what I'd put specifically in there in numerous videos, so I won't go into them right now, but that's the training split that you'll do. When it comes to step count, minimum 10,000 each day. Where you are at like 30% body fat, when you walk, it's going to be a lot more effort for you to walk than it is for some like 50 kg woman that's not out of shape. She won't barely burn any calories, but you will fucking burn a shit ton at that weight. So just by doing the steps will also aid you in order to see the drop. I wouldn't put cardio in to begin with. You will see, if you pull your calories straight down to that and you do 10,000 steps with 3 sessions a week, watch the kilos just tumble off. Honestly, even if you just squared away the diet, the kilos in the beginning will tumble off. The cardio is a tool you're going to keep in your top left pocket and deploy it when you need to see that change. And we're going to come on to that in a minute. But for a quick context, when you need to use cardio, you're going to do something that is non-impact. Why do I say this? Because if you're 30% body fat, your body is carrying 20% more weight on its joints than it's structurally supposed to, if that makes sense. So your body was made in a certain way to be roughly around 10-15% body fat. If you double the amount of body fat, it's a lot more stress on the joints than you needed to. So when you walk around, that's why motherfuckers that are out of shape get back pain, get knee pain, because their joints are they're buckling under the load. They're always carrying that fat around. Now, if you start to run, you're increasing the impact through that joint, because not only are you walking, but the distance now of where you've lifted your foot up and the impact is hitting the ground because it's happening faster you're just gonna bash your joints. You try it if you want. Could be my guess, but I tell you now, 10 days later you won't be fucking running. You'll have shin splints, sore knees, and fucking backache. So don't do that. Do something that's non-impact. Sit on the bike, the elliptical, you may call it, or the cross trainer, or you can do an incline treadmill walk, because the pace is obviously a lot slower, but the increase is for intensity and walking uphill. But anyway, we'll come on to cardio after. So that's how you would set up your plan. So with the setup, you've got what? You've got your calorie target that's broken down into your individual macros. Within your feeding, by the way, all you would really do is pick the nutrients that digest well for you. So let's say in this analogy, this motherfucker needs 170 grams of protein. All I would do is I'd go down here, I'd choose what I want for 40 grams, because you're pretty much going to want 40 grams in a sitting and spread that out evenly across the day. So you're looking at like 4 sittings of 40 grams and then a little bit of spare change, but you make the spare change up because there's trace proteins and everything. So you're talking like 4 meals, where it's going to be like egg whites for breakfast, you're going to have chicken for lunch. I wouldn't go higher, fattier proteins, only because they just come at a lower cost of food, and we're trying to keep you feeling fuller for longer. So I wouldn't do that. I would go for lean options. So you're looking chicken, turkey, or white fish. So yeah, I'd be having turkey for lunch, chicken for evening meal, and then you're looking at like raw Greek yogurt. You could stick some protein in that as well, just to make up the target if you needed to. When it came to fats, you're looking your nut butters, generally without a scratch or sweet tooth. You could put some dark chocolate in that evening meal. That'll cover that itch. I would stay away from a lot of fats. I would hit your target, but I wouldn't be. I'd go for avocados because it's a bit more fibrous, rather than like, your nuts are okay, but they're just small. They're just small food. They will not fill you up. And your oils, to be honest, are a bit of a waste of time when you're cutting, because you're just using it to cook with. And sure, it makes the food taste great, absolutely, but you don't get to like physically eat it, if that makes sense. And at 9 calories per gram, it's a bit more costly than the 4 that you're having to come from carbs and protein. And then when it comes to filling the rest with carbs, I guess it depends on the time of the day. You can have oats in the morning, you can have rice and potatoes at lunch, maybe pasta in the evening. But you'll just pick it and fit what you need to. So like, that's just a bit of homework, and you fitting the numbers in. Like, you know the basic foods you need to be eating. And honestly, when you're setting your diet up, don't make it so fucking palatable. And that means don't make it so nice and tasty, because if it's nice and tasty, it's hard to fucking stick to. It's hard to stop. Like the dark chocolate, it's a nice little treat, but don't get me wrong. When you're in the depths of the diet, that dark chocolate, 20 grams a day is not fucking that much, and you want to keep eating more and more until you've demolished the bar. So people slate on bland and boring meal plans, but actually they've been around for the longest of time because they fucking work. They've been around for the longest time because they don't keep you wanting more and more and more. That's the whole purpose of the diet. So utilize fiber. Make sure you put in plenty of vegetables, like pack it out with vegetables. Again, this will come under your carb target. Put in like fruits in there, like berries. Honestly, very, very low calorie, very fibrous. And you want a lot of fiber in the diet when you're dieting down. It'll give you the perception that the diet and what you're eating is a lot of food because it's so fibrous. So that'd be my recommendations when it comes to the diet. So how to know if you're making progress? Well, with this, and what I've not spoke about is your collection of data on a week-on-week basis. So have a one-stop shop where you hold your data. You could probably use MyFitnessPal, to be fair. I've seen you can put your weight on there, you can put your session on there, you can put your steps on there, cardio on there, and obviously, of course, it's got your food in there. So that'd be a nice, and you can put photos in there. So that's everything you need to track. I don't know if you can track sleep, but you want to keep a log of your sleep anyway. So across the week, you're going to know you've weighed yourself daily. Don't fucking worry about it. Just weigh yourself daily. Don't think anything of it. I know motherfuckers like, oh, I get demotivated when I sit on the scale, and it's like, just shut the fuck up, right? Don't be married to the scale weight. In the beginning, you're using it to know if you're making progress. By the end, you won't give a fuck what weight you weigh on the scale when you have a fucking six-pack and you look amazing. This is a visual game. You're doing this to look better. You're not doing this to have a scale weight reading. This is just some data point that some motherfucker way before us created and said, we're going to call it kilos or pounds or stones or whatever the fuck. He just made that up. We don't care about that. We care how do we look, because that's going to determine how we feel and how we act in the world. So weigh yourself every day, because it's going to allow you to have more data. The more data you have, the better, and the more clear-cut you can drive decisions to your own progress. So track your sleep each and every night. Just, you'll know roughly. I got in bed at this time. Oh, I was awake for fucking ages last night. Cool, I only got 6 hours. Oh, I slept straight away. 8. Perfect. Track your food, as in you make sure you eat the meal plan that you've set out for yourself, and you follow only that. From there, also track your steps. Make sure you hit the 10K. And if you are in the week of doing cardio, log the cardio you did. Now, from there, you will do that for 7 days and you'll have a certain result at the end. If after the first week you dropped a kilo, 2 kilos, half a kilo, in fact at this stage of the game, at least a kilo, you're making progress. Don't touch the plan. Rinse exactly what you're doing out until it starts to slow down. That said, if you did all that and you stayed exactly the same weight, then the input is still too high. Now, at this stage of the game, I said, and this would be surprising, this would be very surprising, because we're putting you straight into a 1,000 calorie deficit. But let's say for hypothetical scenario, you didn't do 1,000 calories, you did 500, and your scale weight didn't move. Take away, in the beginning, go for like a bigger drop, go for like 200 calorie drop, and rinse and repeat the plan again. And you will find that there'll be a change, you'll see the drop off. Now, you've got a couple of options, and I would honestly always say, only in the beginning, I would take the food away. But after that, I would use the tool of cardio. I'd bring it out my top left pocket and I'd start deploying it. Because if we can get you to move more, we can keep food higher. If we can keep food higher, you'll have more energy in the gym. Gym floor performance is the biggest and determining factor of whether you build and retain muscle tissue. So it is sacred. So we want to do everything we can, honestly, to keep your carb target as high as possible. Motherfuckers will think low carb is the way you're going to get shredded. It's not. Carbs will drive performance in the gym. Building muscle will definitely aid in you dropping body fat, because the more muscular you are, I'll tell you now, it's much harder to put on body fat and you stay leaner because your body is walking around more muscle. Therefore, it actually needs more food into the body to just keep the muscle. Anyway, so without going off on a side tangent, keep carbs high. So you then start to add in cardio. With this, okay, so what to do if you're not making progress? It's like the same thing. If you're not making progress, you're going to make a change to the plan. We've spoke about food, but then you're going to increase through cardio. You're going to start with 20 minutes per day. Or if you want to bolster them together in sessions, fine. But whatever it is, you're going to do 7 days worth of 20 minutes. That's your target for the week. Just get it done. Same with the steps. 10K daily, but some days you do 15, the other days you do 5, whatever. You did 70 for the week, no problem. So from there, you're going to do the cardio, heart rate 120 to 130. Why? Well, it's quick enough that it will eat into burning body fat, as in the intensity's up there, but it's not so fast that it doesn't accumulate fatigue. You can do it daily because it's not as intense, and also the intensity is not high enough that you're like predominantly burning through food and using like glycogen to actually execute the session. Whereas if this was an all-out like high intensity cardio session, they're similar to weight sessions, you will burn glycogen because of the intensity that you're working at. So what we want to do is keep it low enough that you can do it daily. That's the main aim. And that's why I wouldn't say running, because you can't run daily. You will just accumulate too much fatigue, especially in the joints, and it will spike your appetite quite significantly. So that's why we keep cardio at that point. Heart rate 120 to 130, cross trainer, bike, treadmill. You're going to do that if you don't see a change each and every week. You should see a kilo a week every week. If you're 30% body fat, that should be dropping off like week after week after week. If it's not, you're going to look at two things. Bear in mind, if your sleep was absolutely whack, if you were getting like 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, you need to fucking sort that out. Because if you don't sleep that well, you're going to be in a state of stress, i.e. cortisol's going to be high. That's not a prime position to drop body fat. That's a position to hold body fat and, if anything, drop muscle. So you need to fix that. I found people that sleep the best, that they honestly get on so much better. And like, I personally push 9 hours. When I wake up in the morning, I look in the mirror, and when I tense, I feel fucking jacked. When I've had 9 hours sleep, if I've had 7 or 6, I don't feel very good in myself. So I feel it, like, and that's why I tell you this information. So that's what to do if you're not making progress. You know you're not making progress because you tracked the data. Very important you do that. If you start skipping on tracking the data, you'll not know for sure if you are or aren't following the plan. Now, there could be a side reason as to why you didn't make progress, and I will address this, because you can set the plan, but if you didn't fucking follow it, don't make a change the week after, because you don't know if the plan works or not because you didn't fucking follow it. So then we need to work out, why didn't you follow it? What was the reason, and why was adherence not followed through? And obviously that's like a very, very broad question. There could be millions of reasons as to why. Most of the time it's going to come down to, there was a social event. So how do you navigate a social event? Ideally you plan ahead, and in which case you look at the menu, you choose what you're going to eat. You then also, within that day of feeding, pull from carbs, pull all the carbs out your meal. I know I say don't pull from carbs, but you want to be a motherfucker and go and eat out and socialize, so we're going to have to pull from Peter somewhere to pay for Paul. So from there, you need to make sure that the calories fit, even if you're going to eat out. If you're going to drink alcohol, stick to spirits. Gin, vodka, soda, one shot with 0 calorie mixer. That's 97 calories. So you do the math on your calorie target, how much you can fit in. Throughout the week, you can also bank calories. So you could shave off 100 calories for 5 days. So come the Saturday, when technically it'd be 6, you'd have 600 calories there to allocate towards that meal. It would also keep you on plan. Or you can push cardio up a little bit more. I don't really like the idea of doing that, but you could do that as well. You could push cardio up a bit more than it already is, but that will also create the deficit. But why I don't like doing that is because, at least with calories, you know, if you pulled 97, you've got fucking 600. It's math. It's like money. With cardio, it's a little bit more subjective. It's like, well, how much do you weigh and what was the intensity? And you sure you're at that intensity? And like, you know, like it's a bit more subjective. Don't get me wrong, you can still do it. Of course you can. I just find for simplicity, just pull it from the food to take from the food. From Peter to motherfucking Paul. So that's what I would do in the events you need to socialize. Other reason you fell off is down to your own poor organization. That is literally it. It's either there was a social event or you were just poorly organized. There's one other reason, we'll come on to that in a second, but your organization is the main reason. Life will fuck you in the ass. Life is not meant to be lived on a diet plan, doing cardio steps and eating the same meals every day. Life is this fluid thing, like one day it's fucking sunny, the other day it's not fucking sunny. I mean, it depends where you live in the world, but like, life just changed. It comes and it goes, and it's like, it is what it is. Sometimes you need to take your missus to the hospital because she fucking broke her nail, so you missed a meal. Sometimes you had to stay later at work, you didn't take an extra meal, so you missed a fucking meal. Sometimes you missed a gym session, sometimes things happen. Things just happen, don't they? So the way you get around that is, you need to expect things are going to happen. And you need to allocate 2 times per week when you're going to prep your food. And ideally you want the prep just before the meat of your week, i.e. the working week more than likely. So I would say do it on a Sunday, do it on a Thursday. That way you're prepped for the week, and that way you're prepped for also the weekend if something's going to come up. If you don't prep and you don't plan ahead, you'll miss days. Like, that's just the reality of it. And then you'll look and you'll blame the world. And it's not the fucking world's fault, it's your fault. You didn't plan ahead. You didn't have the right kit at the right time to do the job. So you suffered for it. So you didn't make the progress. And ultimately, you can blame circumstances. Most of the time, they could have been navigated just better if you were just more prepared. So let's be honest, like, audit your week, what's coming up. Have I prepped my meals? Have I got my meals with me? Yes. Oh, this thing happened? No problem, I've got my meal with me. Watch me eat it now. Maybe a bit cold, but fuck it, I'm still on plan. That's the main thing. And then the last one, honestly, is your own fucking negligence and just like jack attitude towards getting it done. If you wake up one day, you're like, oh, don't know if I can be arsed, and like, you know, that's honestly one of the main reasons why you'll fall off. And that's, to be fair, that's probably why most people come to me from coaching. Is just they just want the accountability of me to say, follow this, do exactly this. Now show me you've done this in 7 days' time, and we'll review it. Just having that presence there is what honestly gets most people towards the goal. Whereas if you weren't there and they missed a little bit and they just sweep it under the carpet, and then next week they'd be better, and then the week after they were good, and then the week after that they were, and I fucked up a bit harder, I'll sweep that under the carpet. That's just the way it happens. It's just human beings. We don't really like to admit when we're wrong in things. When you've actually got to show it to another human being, that's when the work really gets done. So your own negligence is the main reason why you won't make progress or you didn't follow the diet, besides the other two. So that's what to do if you're not making progress. You know at this point now how to set up your plan. You know how long it's going to take to get in shape. You know how to know if you're making progress. Nice and simple. Is the kilo coming off per week? Yes, perfect. Keep it where it is. And a side note, are your numbers in the gym going up? For the most part, the answer should be yes. Only right towards the back end of the diet should the answer be they're holding the line, because you're like really fatigued and hungry and you're on low food at that point. Then at that point, fine. They may be dipping, but for the longest of time, you should be dropping fat and you should be increasing your numbers in the gym, aka building muscle tissue. That's how you know if you're making progress. Nice and simple. Numbers in the gym are progressing. I know this because I log and record my workouts on my phone, and also the scale weight is dropping. And then as the scale weight goes from as you go from 30 down to 20%, you'll start to visually see a good change in yourself as well. If you drop 10 kilo from 30%, you'll know you've made progress, and visually you'll be able to see it. And once you can visually see it, that's when the real gains really start to begin, because as soon as you start to see it, every time you make a change, you see it more and more and more and more. Between like 30% to 26%, you won't notice the difference, but from going from like 20 to 16, you fucking see that like night and day difference. And before you know it, every kilo dropped is like a very big visual difference. So that's what I would do if I was 30% body fat. Hopefully you take this and you go and do it and you become 10% body fat. Let me know how you get on. Let me know if I missed anything that you would have wanted to hear about in the comments below. I will get back to your comments. There's a few that need speaking to, which I will get to at some point. And I do try to use the comments as like new video ideas. So like if you want to see certain, if you put a question in the comments, I will use that as a next video title. So try and frame it in that way, and that'd be quite nice. If you found value in this video, subscribe to the channel. And if you just want me to take you through the process, there'll be links in the description. Book a call, message me on Instagram. We'll get you set up, and we'll get you to fucking 10% body fat from 30%. Thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.